There's a game being played all around you, right now, in boardrooms, bedrooms, and every space where power shifts hands. And the people winning? They're not the ones playing fair. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. Have you ever watched someone less qualified than you get promoted? Have you seen someone with fewer morals build an empire while good people struggle to pay rent? Have you noticed how the loudest voice in the room gets credit for your idea? Welcome to the world Niccolo Machiavelli described 500 years ago, a world that hasn't changed one bit. Here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. The world doesn't reward kindness, it rewards effectiveness. It doesn't crown the most ethical, it crowns the most strategic. And while you've been taught that virtue always triumphs, Machiavelli whispered a darker truth. Virtue without teeth is just weakness wearing a smile. Now, before you click away thinking this is about becoming a villain, stay with me. Because what I'm about to share isn't about abandoning your morals, it's about understanding the ruthless mechanics of power so you stop being a victim of them. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the ruthless rise, why the naive fall, and most importantly, how to protect yourself without losing your soul. And here's my request. Don't skip any part of this video. I know you're busy. I know your attention span is being pulled in 17 directions. If you're in a rush, watch at 2 times speed, but don't skip. Because skipping sections here is like taking half your medication and wondering why you're still sick. Every piece builds on the last. Every lesson connects. This is a complete operating system for understanding power, and you need all the components. Let's begin where all great awakenings begin, with a story that shatters everything you thought you knew. The year is 1502. Central Italy. A young military commander named Cesare Borgia faces a problem that would destroy most men. His own generals are plotting against him. These weren't just any officers. These were powerful warlords who controlled their own territories, their own armies. They'd helped Borgia conquer half of Italy. They knew his strategies, his weaknesses, and now they wanted him dead. A naive leader would have confronted them directly. An ethical leader would have tried negotiation, compromise, perhaps even forgiveness. Cesare Borgia did something else entirely. He invited them to a peace meeting. He smiled, he apologized, he promised them more power, more territory, more gold. He embraced them like brothers, and then, in a single night, he had them all strangled. Brutal? Absolutely. Effective? Undeniably. Within 24 hours, Borgia went from being surrounded by enemies to being the undisputed ruler of central Italy. The territories that took years to conquer were secured in one ruthless evening. Niccolo Machiavelli was there, he watched it happen, and he learned the lesson that would make him history's most notorious political philosopher. The world doesn't operate on how things should be, it operates on how things are. Now here's where it gets interesting. Most people hear this story and think Machiavelli was teaching pure evil. But they're missing the deeper point. Machiavelli wasn't celebrating cruelty. He was revealing a survival mechanism. He was showing you the chessboard so you'd stop being a pawn. Think about your own life right now. How many times have you been the person who played fair while someone else played to win? How many times have you been honest in a world that rewards deception? How many times have you been generous while someone ruthlessly took advantage of your generosity? The ruthless succeed not because the universe is evil, but because they understand something you were never taught. Power has its own logic, and that logic doesn't care about your feelings. Let's get scientific for a moment, because this isn't just ancient philosophy, it's evolutionary psychology. Research from Harvard Business School analyzed thousands of CEOs and found something shocking. The most successful leaders scored significantly higher on Machiavellian traits. Strategic manipulation, emotional detachment, and comfort with moral ambiguity. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people high in dark triad traits like narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy earn more money and climb corporate ladders faster than their more conscientious peers. But why? Here's the mechanism. While you're hesitating because you're worried about being fair, they're acting. While you're considering everyone's feelings, They're making the move that wins. While you're paralyzed by ethical complexity, they've simplified the game to one question: what gets me what I want? The psychologist Robert Greene, who studied power dynamics for decades, puts it brutally. The world wants to be deceived. People don't want truth. They want comfort. They don't want complexity. They want stories. And the ruthless understand this. They tell people what they want to hear while doing what needs to be done. Now let's contrast this with what you were taught. You were raised on fairy tales where good always triumphs, where the honest protagonist defeats the evil villain through pure virtue, where karma is swift and justice is guaranteed. Beautiful stories, terrible preparation for reality. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers you hear quoted on every motivational video, they understood this tension. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." But here's what most people miss. Marcus Aurelius wasn't just a philosopher. He was an emperor who waged wars, executed traitors, and made ruthless decisions to protect Rome. He combined wisdom with steel. Eastern philosophy offers similar insights. The Bhagavad Gita, one of Hinduism's most sacred texts, features a warrior named Arjuna who doesn't want to fight his own relatives in battle. He's paralyzed by morality. And what does Krishna, the divine teacher, tell him? Essentially, your duty is to act. The battlefield doesn't care about your feelings. Do what must be done. The lesson isn't that morality doesn't matter. The lesson is that morality without power is just poetry. Let me paint you two portraits. Portrait 1. The good person. She's talented, hard-working, genuine. She believes in meritocracy. She thinks if she just does excellent work, she'll be recognized. She trusts people until they give her a reason not to. She assumes good intentions. She shares credit. She plays by rules she thinks everyone else is following. At work, she creates a brilliant presentation. Her colleague asks to collaborate, then presents it as his own idea to the boss. She's shocked. She confronts him politely. He gaslights her, makes her feel crazy for even suggesting it. She doesn't push further because she doesn't want to create drama. 3 years later, he's a director. She's still in the same position, wondering why hard work isn't enough. Portrait 2, the strategic person. He's equally talented, equally hard-working, but he understands the game. When he creates something valuable, he controls access to it. He builds relationships not just on warmth, but on mutual benefit. He observes who has power and aligns himself accordingly. He knows when to collaborate and when to protect his territory. He's kind, but his kindness is strategic, not naive. When someone tries to take credit for his work, he doesn't confront them emotionally. He quietly ensures that key decision-makers know the truth. Through casual conversations, through documented emails, through strategic visibility. He doesn't create drama. He creates facts. 3 years later, he's promoted, not because he's less ethical, but because he's effective. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The world doesn't ask whether you deserve success. It only asks whether you can secure it. If this resonates, you know exactly the person I'm thinking of. That colleague, that friend, that ex who seemed to glide through life while you struggled despite working twice as hard. Comment below if you've experienced this dynamic. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to stop feeling alone in their frustration. So what do we do with this information? How do we operate effectively without becoming monsters? Machiavelli's true genius wasn't teaching evil. It was teaching awareness. Here are the 7 principles he'd want you to understand. Lesson 1. Understand that perception is reality. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are." So what does that mean, really? Well, your intentions don't matter if people perceive you as weak. Your kindness doesn't matter if people perceive you as a pushover. The practical takeaway here is to control your narrative. Make sure you document your wins. Make your contributions visible. The person doing great work in silence, honestly, gets less credit than the person doing good work loudly. And, this isn't about ego, it's about survival. Lesson 2. Never assume loyalty without alignment. Machiavelli observed that people are loyal to their interests, not to you. The moment their interest shifts, so does their loyalty. So, the practical application is to build relationships on mutual benefit, not emotional attachment. Ask yourself, if my value to this person disappeared tomorrow, would they still be in my life? If the answer is no, then, well, act accordingly. Protect yourself. Lesson 3. Master the art of strategic ruthlessness. Here's the nuance everyone misses. Machiavelli didn't advocate constant cruelty. He advocated concentrated ruthlessness. Do what needs to be done swiftly and completely, then return to generosity. The practical application is simple. When you must set a boundary, cut a toxic relationship, or make a hard professional decision, do it decisively. Don't drag it out, don't half commit. Rip the bandage off, then move forward with clarity and purpose. Lesson 4. Keep your plans hidden. Never let anyone know what you're thinking, Machiavelli advised. In a world where information is power, revealing your strategy before you've secured your position is, well, amateur hour. Practical application. Stop oversharing your goals. Stop announcing your moves before you make them. The world rewards the surprise launch, not the long announcement. Build in private. Reveal in public only when you're ready. Lesson 5. Study power, don't moralize about it. Most people waste energy being offended by how power works. Machiavelli was a scientist of power. He observed it coldly, like a biologist studying predators. Practical application. Stop being shocked when powerful people act in their self-interest. Start studying how they do it. You don't have to copy their tactics, but you must understand their game or you'll keep losing to players you didn't even know existed. Lesson 6. Generosity is strategic, not automatic. Machiavelli warned against being habitually good because people exploit predictability. But he never said to be evil. He said to be discerning. Practical application. Be extremely generous with people who've earned it. Be extremely cautious with people who haven't. Your kindness should be a reward, not an open buffet for users and manipulators. Lesson 7. Understand that inaction is also a choice. You know, the most dangerous thing Machiavelli warned about wasn't cruelty, it was hesitation. While you're deliberating, someone else is acting. While you're being fair, someone else is winning. So here's the practical application. Make faster decisions, bias toward action. You can always course correct later, but you simply can't recover time lost to overthinking. The ruthless win, partly because they move while others freeze. Now, if you've made it this far, and these lessons are clicking into place like puzzle pieces you didn't know were missing, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Share this video with someone who's been playing chess while everyone else plays checkers. Because honestly, this kind of content doesn't go viral through algorithms. It spreads through people like you who recognize its value. But here's where we need to go deeper, because I'm not here to create more manipulators. I'm here to wake up good people who've been getting crushed by manipulators. Machiavelli described the mechanics of power brilliantly. But, he missed something crucial. A life built purely on ruthless strategy is a hollow victory. Think about the people you know who've won through pure manipulation. Really think about them. Are they happy? Are they at peace? Or are they paranoid, isolated, surrounded by people who are only there out of fear or calculation? Here's the synthesis nobody teaches. You need to understand Machiavellian principles defensively while operating from a deeper ethical foundation. Think of it like martial arts. So you learn how to fight not so you can hurt people, but so you can protect yourself and those you love. The philosopher Aristotle had a concept called practical wisdom, phronesis. It's the ability to discern the right action in the right context. Sometimes the right action is radical honesty. Sometimes it's strategic silence. Sometimes it's fierce boundary setting. Sometimes it's generous forgiveness. The difference between wisdom and manipulation. Intention. Are you acting from self-interest alone or from a larger purpose? Are you securing power to serve only yourself, or to create something beyond yourself. Robert Greene, who wrote The 48 Laws of Power, said something profound in a later interview. The real power is in being able to use these strategies when necessary, but not being controlled by them. The ultimate power is in transcending the need for power. This is the path. Understand the game. Protect yourself within the game, but don't let the game become your only reality. So here we are, at the end of our journey through Machiavelli's brutal, brilliant world. The truth is this: the world does reward the ruthless, but it also punishes the ruthless in ways they don't see coming, through broken relationships, hollow victories, and the slow poison of paranoia. Your task isn't to become ruthless. Your task is to become formidable. Formidable people understand power but aren't corrupted by it. They can play the game when necessary, but don't lose themselves in the playing. They have teeth, but choose when to bare them. They're kind from a position of strength, not a position of weakness. Machiavelli was writing for princes, people who had to make life and death decisions for entire nations. You're not ruling kingdoms, you're navigating offices, relationships, creative pursuits, business ventures. The principles scale down, but the awareness remains essential. So ask yourself right now, where in your life are you being naive when you should be strategic? Where are you giving power to people who've proven they'll abuse it? Where are you playing fair in a game where others have changed the rules? And most importantly, what would the strongest, wisest version of you do right now with this knowledge? Machiavelli's final lesson isn't about becoming heartless. It's about becoming clear-eyed. It's about seeing the world as it is, not as you wish it were. It's about recognizing that good intentions without strategic action are just beautiful failures. The ruthless will always exist. They're not going anywhere. The question is, will you understand them enough to protect yourself? Will you be strong enough to set boundaries? Will you be wise enough to know when to fight and when to walk away? Your goodness doesn't have to become coldness, but it does need to grow some armor. Share this video with someone who's been struggling because they're too good for a world that doesn't reward goodness automatically. Comment below with your biggest takeaway. I read every comment, and your insights often teach me as much as I hope this taught you. And remember, Machiavelli wasn't trying to make you ruthless. He was trying to make you aware. In a world that rewards the ruthless, awareness is your greatest weapon. Until next time, stay strategic, stay ethical, and stay strong, because the world needs more people who understand power but choose wisdom.